Welcome to Realtor Therapy with Steph and Kel.
We're your hosts, Stefanie Campbell and Kelly Dugan, top producing agents with the Gold Group at Properties Christie's International.
With over $200 million in sales, we've seen it all. The wins, the losses, and the downright insane moments that come with being a realtor.
This podcast is your no BS, unfiltered look into the world of real estate.
Whether you're an agent needing a therapy session or looking to level up your game, we've got real stories, real problems, and real talk.
And hey, if you're a client, stick around. You might just pick up a few trade secrets.
Let's get into it. Welcome to Realtor Therapy.
Therapy. We haven't even talked about this really in depth.
I know. It's going to be hard to get used to. Should we just start? I feel like that we should start introducing it every single episode. Like, hey, welcome to Realtor Therapy.
We got to change our intro actually with our friend there. And we should say one of the reasons that we're changing the name is because this is naturally evolved. I mean, when Kelly and I started this podcast journey, we originally were just recording little stories on Instagram
and just
reels.
Like tidbits for like clients and stuff like that. But
then when we started to get behind mics and start storytelling, we realized I would always joke. I'd be like, okay, like enough with a therapy session because
I get carried away.
We get carried away in our complaints about our job. And we had a lot of talk about our audience too, and I hope that all of our clients are listening, the ones that we really love.
This is gonna make everyone act right. Like I don't want to be on their podcast.
No. I'm just kidding.
Just putting everyone on blast. No, just kidding.
I'm sure our friends are listening, which is amazing, and that's great. But we were saying that the clients that we don't know as well, and like in our personal everyday lives, they might only listen for like the period or the season of their life of when they're going through these transactions. Now, long-term, our audience is probably other realtors.
Right. Yeah. And I've even gotten calls from realtors. They're like, oh my God, we love what you put out there. And it's so funny hearing that because to me and you, it's just like,
we're just having a little chit chat by ourselves and we forget that there's a public behind.
Yes, because it's so common for me and Stephanie to just call each other all day and talk. So we're like, all right, let's just put it out there.
Yeah.
We don't want to be super focused on it always being negative or complaining. No. I think that it's important to talk about like the wins and the good things too.
Yeah, we'll try.
Do you have any lately?
I mean, there's a lot of closings that I'm like,
getting off your back.
Thank God that's over.
I had a deal fall through in the Blue Island building that me and Duval are listing. And I learned something that FHA, so basically this building was from forever ago and it's an FHA deal and we, passed the appraisal, no repairs needed, everything in that sense. And this building apparently was originally a single family and the owner, who I know really well, was her parents' building, who they're not alive anymore, but they converted it to a 3-unit building. So it's basically grandfathered in with zoning and it's legal non-conforming, and FHA will not do any type of loan with legal non-conforming. It basically means you're grandfathered in and you could not rebuild that building as it sits today. So that was something I learned.
Oh, so it's a legal 3-flat, but it's non-conforming, meaning what non-conforming means is that Freddie and Fannie, like so basically non-conforming means that Freddie, like they can't guarantee the future of the building. So basically what FHA says is if there was some catastrophic event, if there was a fire or what have you, they could not build this the way that it sits today because of the zoning laws. So FHA will not do it. So that kind of sucks because we got really far in and like everything was good other than they can't go conventional, huh?
No, because he needs to do 20% down to do conventional and he didn't have it. And we tried every route. I tried literally the biggest hiccup on it, which is just so annoying in the grand scheme of things. I get it. There's rules and everything, but the reason is because the appraiser labeled it as a 3-unit plus, I think like guest house or something. The verbiage that was used was literally the reason the underwriter was rejecting it. And it was just the verbiage. Like I tried everything, calling the appraiser, and
What
about a new appraisal?
I mean, I guess it's still a 50-50 chance
I
when
think
somebody has to buy it.
But it doesn't change the zoning. It's still legal non-conforming. And it sounds like FHA across the board will not do a loan for a legal non-conforming lot. So cash or conventional only on that one.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I mean, lesson learned. And this is the thing that I always say is like, you don't know what you don't know. There's
100%.
so many. And like when we've talked about like, would you hire a new realtor? Would you not hire a new realtor? And like all these things. And that's why I think it is important to be on a team, we haven't really discussed at all, like even our dynamic of the team. And
No.
it's kind of top of my mind because we had our photo shoot yesterday for new team photos.
It was so fun.
We had the most fun day.
I love
Didn't
our team. Yes, we did.
We had so much fun. I was just telling Jackie, our manager, I was like, we had so much fun because even me, you, and Duval, Frankie, and Kaylin, like hanging out after photos.
Oh, yeah.
And like just shooting the shit. Like it was so.
That was I said like multiple times, I wish we all had mics and we could all be.
I know.
Because the biggest thing that we're wanting to talk about is, and this is totally geared towards agents. If you're a client, this might sound like German to you, this next topic, but that's what this podcast is now. So,
well, it's for everybody. It's
so basically, ever since all these new rules with like commission and how it's paid out, all those new changes that we had talked about that took place on August 17th, it's all a big like growing pain and it's a learning curve. But we wanted to come on here and do a PSA to agents.
This is a serious PSA to realtors.
Me and Stefanie are fighting.
I want to say we're pissed off. Me
and Stefanie are fighting every agent, every transaction that we submit offers
in
for
the
our
suburbs,
for our buyers on. They come back and they're doing admin MLS fees. Like, what are we even calling them?
So what I want to explain too for somebody that's not a realtor or somebody that maybe is newer in the business, what it was like before August 17th when on the buy side, when you went and looked at a listing, that listing in the MLS advertised what the payout, the compensation was to a buyer's agent, to the brokerage. So let's say that it was a blank percentage they were paying a buyer's agent, and there'd always be a minus fee, like minus $395, minus $500, minus $595, whatever, minus $200. Whatever that fee was, the listing brokerage collected that fee. So it was literally an MLS fee. We were all used to paying it. Then comes along the new rules where we can no longer advertise in the MLS what the broker payout compensation is to the buyer. It's not a thing anymore. So with that should also go away the MLS fee, okay? Because now we have buyer broker agreements that are signed with each buyer, and then with each offer, we request compensation from the seller. And that new term is between the parties, between the buyer and the seller, essentially, like the buyer requesting that the seller pay that, okay? And this is what keeps happening nonstop. And Kelly and I are like so exhausted of it. We'll agree on something. We'll agree on a percentage that the buyers...
Not even we'll agree on everything. We'll submit the offer with our compensation addendum that is seen with every other offer submitted. Okay, like that is how it is done now. When you go and submit an offer for your buyers, you attach a compensation addendum that states what you are requesting the seller to pay for. Yes, it is all negotiable. We can go through all that. We've gone through all of that. However, what agents are doing on the list side is they're not they're still living prior to August 17th, and they want to tack on their admin fees to our commission. And it doesn't work that way anymore because now we have a buyer agreement signed with our client. So anything that the seller is, or I guess let's say the listing agent wants to come back and counter that commission on, it's annoying because it's not a counter from the seller. It's a counter from the listing agent's brokerage.
And that's
to put their admin fee on us. And it's not a thing anymore. It's not applicable after August 17th. It is two separate things. So what's so annoying is I'll submit my offer with my compensation addendum. We negotiate price. We negotiate, okay, they want as is. They want this closing date, yada, yada, yada. We go through all the things and we come to terms. And then the agent calls me. Oh, hey, by the way, the commission is whatever percent minus $495. And I'm like, this should have been brought up during negotiations because that is literally
part of
And that is a counter.
the offer. And that's a counter.
Yeah.
And if your seller is wanting to counter my commission $4.95, okay, is that what they're doing? Or is this you putting that, basically is that you countering my, like your brokerage cannot counter my brokerage that commission anymore.
The
because
whole point is that the brokerages are now out of it. It's not to do with the brokerages. The broker, like before, the listing brokerage dictated what the payout was for the buyer.
Right.
And they're their way of beating around this in what I would claim is an unethical way is that they're trying to say, no, this counter is coming from my seller. I'm like,
your
no.
seller has no idea that you're countering my commission for your admin overhead fee. Like that is BS.
It is such BS. And they're telling that, but partly to blame is like Main Street.
Yeah, Main Street's.
We have the National Association of Realtors. Then we're part of another organization wherever you're located. Like there's Chicago Association of Realtors. There's Main Street out in the suburbs. And part of the problem is that Main Street has in their listing agreement, which Properties has their own listing agreements. A lot of smaller brokerages use Main Streets because it's already done. And there is a section in there that allows the listing brokerage to say, like, hey, seller, do you want to charge a fee to the buyer's agent? And these people, the agent is writing in there, oh yeah, we're going to charge them this much. And
it's their whatever admin fee, whatever you want to call it.
The sellers are just agreeing. They have no idea what they're agreeing to.
Right.
And then come these negotiations, they say, oh yeah, surprise, we're also going to charge you another $500. And we're saying, no, you cannot do that. And that is not coming from your seller, it's coming from you. And they're saying, no, it's coming from my seller, otherwise my seller has to pay it. I'm like, then your seller has to pay it.
Well, then you shouldn't have had, like when they say, well, this is in our listing agreement and this is a fee that my seller would have to pay, it's like, that's not my problem. Like you chose to do that paperwork, you chose to write in that admin fee or whatever they even want to call it now, because it's no longer from as of August 17th, it's literally not a thing. So what is the fee? I don't know.
And then we tell people, we're like, okay, if this is like, if you have this fee that you have to have covered, then keep that in mind when you counter offer.
Right.
We don't want to know about it after the fact. And they don't even want to do it.
It's part of the offer.
They don't even want to do it that way because they're backtracking what they did in their listing agreement. Their listing presentation, their listing agreement has no bearing on what my buyer broker agreement states.
Right.
And this is some verbiage I'm going to read to you guys. This is what I said to an agent that I was dealing with. And it's so funny because they responded flying off the handle. They're a managing broker at another brokerage in the suburbs. Older gentleman, thinks he knows everything, literally screaming at me on the phone and me calmly listening and saying, I'm sorry, I disagree with what you're saying.
Right.
And again, having to take it on the chin. I'm like, you
and I've won a couple
POS.
There was one agent that was like super, and I encouraged her to call, Main Street, MRED, whichever one. And just, again, because it just completely contradicts what this whole lawsuit was about. And she even said, I'm so sorry. Like, thank you so much for bringing this to my attention. My managing broker pretty much echoed what you said. And this fee is no longer. And she's like, and I'm so grateful because now when I'm on the buy side and listing agents try and put this fee on me, I know that that's not right anymore. And it's like, okay, one little step at a time, one agent at a time.
It's like we're out here fighting the good fight for all these people that literally don't have the proper education.
Right.
That's what's annoying about it. And anyway, I'm gonna read what this actually back with what you said. I had another guy, same thing. He called NAR, and he literally said, "Thank you for bringing this up to me. You were actually right." And he was another guy that was like screaming at me on the phone about it. Said, "You were right. I'm gonna go to my brokerage." And this was another managing broker, separate from this topic. And he was like, "I'm gonna go to my brokerage and talk to them about this, and we're gonna just restructure the way we're doing it too."
Yeah.
Like, thank God, one more off the list. But anyway, just for realtors out there, this is some good verbiage for when you guys are talking to realtors and having this problem. I respond and I said, also, the fee of blank does not satisfy my buyer's obligation under their BBA, their buyer broker agreement. And that is why they want me to use the compensation addendum. When the compensation addendum is used, the compensation is no longer becomes the control of the listing brokerage. Remember, back in the day, the listing brokerage dictated what the buyer side got paid. It puts that into the hands of the parties, meaning the buyer and seller. Whatever you as a listing broker and seller agree to in your listing agreement is between you, and therefore we are not agreeing to the minus fee. I hope you understand. I have had another brokers call NAR and Emirate and have come back to me confirming that they echoed the same thing.
Yep.
So, and again, not that that's going to be a magic pill, because I still got called and screamed at. And I told them, I was like, listen, if this counter is actually coming from your seller, then you're welcome to, I am never going to write a minus fee in my compensation addendum. If that's what your seller, because that's who I'm talking to now, not you broker, I'm talking to your seller. If that's what your seller wants to do, they have to write in there the minus fee that they want to charge me, and they have to initial that change. That is an official counter. Right. So.
Right. And that's and that is, I've seen that too. And that's what I say too, like have your seller initial it, everything like that. But it's so annoying.
It's dirty. It's a dirty little trick that these brokers are trying to.
We know that seller is did not review her offer and say, oh, minus $495 from that commission. Like, no, if the seller wanted that $495 additional, their first thought is to counter the purchase price. Their
Yes.
first thought is not to counter the agent's commission. And again, to be clear, yes, commissions are negotiable. That is the whole point of this thing. What's annoying is that agents are still trying to act. They're still trying to work like it's pre-August 17th, and the brokerages just aren't involved. Like they're separated. All these commissions are decoupled, and the listing brokerage has no dictation. Is that a word? No control over what the buyer, like the seller does. The seller does, not the listing brokerage.
Yeah. Anyway, we just had to come in here and say a little something about it, because I hope a few local realtors listen to this and realize that also on the buy side, omit it, don't have to worry about it. And that when they're on the list side and we're on the buy side, play by the same rules, guys.
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
hopefully, yeah. Should we just send this link every time someone's like, hey, and by the way, it's minus whatever. Just send this podcast link.
That's a really great idea, actually. I have a few people in mind.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, that's it.
Well, there's one brokerage that said that they were going to basically not show their listings.
Yeah, somebody really responded unethically and literally said, like, they're going to try to make us sign something before we even show their properties. I'm like, I'm sure that's literally discrimination. I'm sure your seller would love to hear that that's what your policy is. Again, trying to control. It's screwed up. It's very screwed up.
But we're working through it, growing pains, and it's super annoying. But hopefully with more talk about it, and with every single fight that we have to, hopefully just one agent. If we can get one agent per deal that jumps on board.
Of people, I want to say that the city, who is usually ahead of the suburbs, and I don't want to say professionalism,
but kind of.
They're usually ahead of the curve,
bigger brokerage. They're bigger brokerages with more education and like more, whereas
more volume. So they're used to it. I will say most of the city, not a problem at all. This is more suburb thing. And I did hear that Main Street is removing that section out of their listing agreement about being able to charge the other brokerage. So I think that will be a huge help. I think that'll be a huge help.
Yeah, I agree.
So, okay. All right. Well, until next time, guys, we'll be coming at you with a positive topic. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, you guys I would love for you guys to write in. I say that every time. Tell us your issue. Let's do like a radio talk show, like where they call and they tell us their issues and we talk about it.
Well, I think we'll have to call people. Okay. Anyway.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. That's a wrap on Realtor Therapy with Steph and Kel.
If you loved what you heard, subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on social media.
Got a wild real estate story or a topic idea?
Drop it anonymously in the form in our show notes. We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time, keep hustling, stay sane, and remember,
we're all in this together.